Begin. The afternoon sun peeked through the blinds as Sarah bounced into Tom's kitchen, a wide grin on her face. "Tom, my dearest friend," she chirped, holding up a small, overflowing laundry basket. It was a funny sight, as the basket seemed barely able to contain the colorful jumble of fabrics. "I have a huge favor to ask." "A most urgent, life-or-death favor, really." Tom, who had been busy wiping down his counter, raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on his lips. He was used to Sarah's dramatic entrances and playful requests. "Oh, really? What grand crisis has befallen you this time, Sarah?" he asked, leaning against the counter, arms crossed. He always enjoyed her energy, it made his quiet house feel a bit more alive. Sarah set the basket down with a soft thud. "My washing machine, Tom. It's given up the ghost," she declared, her eyes wide with mock despair. "Completely kaput. And as you can see," she gestured to the basket, "my clothes are in dire need of a good scrub. I simply can't wait another moment. These are my favorite comfy clothes, and they simply must be clean by tonight." She looked at him with an exaggerated pout. "So, I was hoping, perhaps, you wouldn't mind if I, borrowed your lovely washing machine for a quick load?" Tom chuckled, shaking his head. "My lovely washing machine, huh? Well, I suppose it's seen worse." "Are you serious, Sarah? You want to do laundry right now?" He glanced at the clock. It was getting late, and he thought they might just watch a movie or play a game. But Sarah looked so earnestly hopeful, even if he suspected a hint of mischief in her eyes. He knew she had a washing machine at her own apartment that worked just fine. This was definitely a classic Sarah move. And begin. Tom rubbed his chin, a playful smirk dancing on his lips. "Laundry right now, huh? And these are your life-or-death comfy clothes?" He paused, pretending to think deeply, though a part of him was already amused by her sudden, urgent need for his laundry facilities. He knew Sarah well enough to guess there was more to this than just dirty socks. Her eyes, however, held a sparkling challenge that was hard to resist. "Please, Tom? Just this once?" Sarah batted her eyelashes dramatically. "My apartment's laundry room is always busy, and yours is right here, so convenient. And your washing machine smells so much nicer." Tom rolled his eyes, a small laugh escaping him. All right, you win. My super-smelling, convenient washing machine is at your service." He waved a hand towards the utility room. "But I'm not helping you sort your delicates, young lady." Sarah cheered, a bright smile lighting up her face. "You're the best, Tom. I promise I'll be super fast. Just point me to the soap." As Sarah disappeared into the utility room with her overflowing basket, Tom went back to his kitchen. He was a little confused by the suddenness of her request, but he also found it charming. He heard the familiar sounds of the washing machine rumbling to life a few moments later. Knowing she was busy, he decided to tackle some chores he'd been putting off. He thought about dusting the living room, or maybe finally organizing his cluttered bookshelf. He settled on watering his plants, a peaceful task that kept him out of her way. He hummed a quiet tune as he moved from plant to plant, the gentle hum of the washing machine a soft backdrop to his afternoon. He trusted Sarah to be careful, and besides, it was nice to have her around, even if she was just doing laundry. And begin. The moment Tom had given his blessing, Sarah practically skipped into his utility room. Her eyes scanned the small space, quickly locating the washing machine and the laundry detergent. She pulled out the basket she'd brought, revealing a colorful mix of t-shirts, socks, and a few soft sweaters. She sorted them quickly, her movements practiced and efficient, humming a cheerful tune under her breath. It wasn't just any tune, it was a little jingle she'd made up years ago for special, happy moments. She carefully opened the washing machine door, the drum gleaming clean. With a soft swish, she began dropping her clothes inside, one item at a time. A pink t-shirt, a pair of striped socks, a comfy blue hoodie. Each piece felt surprisingly light as it tumbled into the machine. She added the detergent, a little more than usual, just for good measure. Then, she pushed the start button, and the machine whirred to life, a gentle gurgle of water filling the quiet room. Sarah leaned against the wall, a secret smile playing on her lips. She could hear Tom moving around in the other room, the soft sounds of him watering his plants. Everything was going just as she'd hoped. She wasn't really worried about getting her clothes clean, that was just an excuse. The real plan was much more fun. She imagined Tom's face when he found her forgotten items. It would be perfect. She hummed a little louder, a happy, anticipatory sound that bounced off the walls of the utility room. The machine continued its gentle wash cycle, a steady rhythm that matched the beat of her contented heart. She knew this little trick would work, and she already felt a thrill of excitement for what was to come. And begin. A little while later, just as the washing machine finished its spin cycle with a final, satisfying hum, Sarah reappeared in the kitchen. Tom was now trying to tackle his messy bookshelf, humming along to the soft music playing in the background. Sarah's appearance was sudden, a whirlwind of energy. "Oh, Tom. I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, her voice full of hurried apologies, though her eyes still held that familiar sparkle. "I just got a text, and I completely forgot about this. I have to leave right this second. Something important came up, and I can't be late." Tom turned from his books, a bit surprised. "Already? But your clothes. Are they done?" Yes, they just finished," Sarah said quickly, already halfway to the door. "I managed to toss them into the dryer before I came out. It's already started, so they'll be dry soon." She paused, wringing her hands in mock distress. "But I won't have time to fold them. I'm so sorry to leave them like this. Could you possibly?" She trailed off, giving him a hopeful, pleading look. Tom watched her, a slight frown creasing his brow. It was odd, even for Sarah. Usually, she was meticulous about her things. But then again, he knew how busy her life could get. "You're really in a rush, aren't you?" he asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. He knew she was up to something, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. "Super rush," she insisted, already opening the front door. "Like, superhero-level rush. I owe you big time, Tom. I'll make it up to you, I promise." And with that, she was gone, leaving Tom standing alone in his living room, the faint hum of the dryer now audible from the utility room. He shook his head, a small smile forming on his face. What was she planning? And begin. Tom looked at Sarah, still poised at the doorway, her eyes wide and innocent, yet sparkling with a hint of mischief. He knew she was playing a game, but he couldn't help but play along. Her charm was simply too much to resist. "Don't worry about it, Sarah," he said, waving his hand dismissively. "It's fine. I'll take care of your clothes. Go on, don't be late for your important whatever it is." He smiled, a soft, warm smile that reached his eyes. A sigh of relief, perhaps a little too dramatic, escaped Sarah's lips. "Oh, Tom, you're a lifesaver. Truly the best. I knew I could count on you." Before he could say anything else, she darted back into the room, a whirlwind of motion. She wrapped her arms around him in a quick, tight hug, her head resting on his shoulder for just a second. He felt the warmth of her presence, the light scent of her perfume, and then, as quickly as she appeared, she pulled away. "Gotta go. See you soon," she called over her shoulder, already halfway out the door. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving Tom in the quiet hum of his home. He stood there for a moment, the faint echo of her laughter still in the air. He touched his shoulder where she had hugged him, a small, thoughtful frown creasing his brow. He went back to his bookshelf, but his mind wasn't on the books anymore. He kept thinking about Sarah, her hurried exit, the sparkle in her eyes. "She's up to something," he mumbled to himself, a soft chuckle escaping his lips. He glanced towards the utility room, the low thrum of the dryer a constant reminder of her forgotten laundry. He shook his head again, a smile spreading across his face. He'd deal with the clothes later. For now, he just enjoyed the pleasant afterglow of her visit. And Begin. Time drifted by. Tom had moved from his bookshelf to the sofa, lost in a book, the quiet hum of the dryer a constant, gentle background noise. He'd forgotten all about Sarah's laundry, caught up in the story of knights and dragons. The afternoon light began to fade, painting the room in soft orange hues. Suddenly, the dryer gave a final, loud beep, signaling the end of its cycle. The sound startled Tom, pulling him abruptly from his fantasy world. "Oh, right," he mumbled to himself, stretching lazily. Sarah's clothes. He'd promised to take care of them, and he was a man of his word. Besides, he was curious. What exactly had Sarah been up to? That hasty exit, the playful glint in her eye, it all pointed to something more than just a forgotten laundry load. He pushed himself off the comfortable cushions and walked towards the utility room. The air in the small space was warm and smelled faintly of fresh linen and Sarah's subtle perfume. He reached for the dryer door, the metal still warm from the heat of the cycle. He took a deep breath, a small, knowing smile touching his lips. This was it. The moment of truth. He wondered if she had left a note, a clue, or if he would just find a pile of perfectly clean, warm clothes. Whatever it was, he was ready for it. He pushed the latch, and the dryer door swung open with a soft click, revealing the contents within. And begin. The dryer door clicked open, and a wave of warm, soft air, carrying the faint scent of Sarah's laundry detergent, wafted out. Tom peered inside, his eyes widening slightly. It wasn't just a few items, it was a substantial pile. Her clothes were all there, tumbled together in a soft, colorful heap at the bottom of the drum. A bright pink t-shirt lay draped over a pair of dark jeans, next to a fluffy white towel. He could see a familiar blue hoodie, the one she often wore when they watched movies, peeking out from beneath a pile of smaller items. The sheer volume of it made him chuckle. It was definitely more than just a quick load. It looked like she'd brought almost her entire wardrobe. He reached in, feeling the warm, dry fabric. Everything felt perfectly clean and soft, just as he would expect from a load that had just finished drying. There was a certain coziness to the sight, a familiar comfort in seeing her things in his home. He began to gently pull at the top layer, intending to start folding. As he shifted a soft, gray sweater, his fingers brushed against something stiff and flat. It wasn't part of the clothes. His curiosity, which had been simmering beneath the surface, now bubbled up. He pulled the sweater aside, and there, nestled right on top of the colorful mound, was a small, neatly folded piece of paper. His smile widened. He knew it. This was exactly what he'd been expecting. Sarah wouldn't leave without a little surprise. And begin. Tom's fingers carefully closed around the small, folded square of paper. It felt crisp and new, clearly not something that had gone through the wash. His heart gave a little flutter of anticipation. This was it. This was Sarah's signature move, leaving little clues and surprises. He pulled it free from the warm, soft pile of clothes, his smile growing wider. The note was folded neatly in half, then in half again, making a tiny perfect square. He could see a faint outline of a drawing on the outside, a tiny, happy face peeking out from behind the folds. Typical Sarah. She always added a little doodle to her notes, even the quick ones. He chuckled softly to himself. He loved these little quirks about her. He carefully unfolded the paper, a sense of playful expectation building inside him. It wasn't a formal letter, just a small, handwritten message. The paper was slightly textured, like good quality stationery, not just a scrap torn from a notebook. He could almost feel Sarah's personality radiating from the little note, full of fun and unexpected charm. The ink was a vibrant blue, a color she often used. He held it up to the light, taking a moment to appreciate the careful way she had folded it, the tiny drawing, before finally opening it to read the message. He knew it would be something clever, something that would make him smile. He couldn't wait to see what she had written. And begin. Tom finally unfolded the small, crisp note. His eyes scanned the familiar handwriting, a neat, flowing script that always seemed to dance across the page. He read the words aloud, his voice soft, a smile already forming on his lips even before he finished the last line. Oops. Guess I'll need to come back for these. It's my birthday, after all. He read it again, just to be sure. Oops. A little chuckle escaped him. Guess I'll need to come back for these. Of course. And then the last part, the real kicker, it's my birthday, after all. A laugh bubbled up from deep inside him, a genuine, hearty sound that filled the utility room. He leaned against the warm dryer, shaking his head in amused disbelief. Of course it was her birthday. How could he have forgotten? He hadn't seen her in a few days, and with his busy schedule, the date had simply slipped his mind. And Sarah, being Sarah, had found the most wonderfully elaborate and clever way to remind him. The broken washing machine, the urgent text, the superhero-level rush, it all made perfect sense now. It was all a wonderfully orchestrated plan to ensure he'd find this note, ensuring she'd have a reason to return. It wasn't about the laundry at all. It was about creating an excuse to see him again, to playfully remind him of her special day. He could almost hear her mischievous giggle in his ear, imagining her writing the note, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. This was so perfectly Sarah, so wonderfully her. He held the note carefully, a warm feeling spreading through his chest. And begin. A wide, genuine smile spread across Tom's face, reaching his eyes and crinkling the corners. The sound of his own laughter filled the small utility room. He shook his head slowly, still holding the note, the truth of Sarah's playful plan finally clicking into place. It was so perfectly her. The entire laundry emergency, the hurried departure, the forgotten clothes, every piece of it was a carefully laid trap, designed to lead him to this very moment, to this little note. He realized now that her distress had been a performance, her urgent text a clever diversion. She hadn't forgotten her clothes at all, she had deliberately left them. It was an invitation, a clear signal that she wanted him to know it was her birthday and that she wanted to see him again. The thought made his heart feel light. He imagined her planning it, probably giggling to herself as she wrote the note, picturing his reaction. He could almost see her face, bright with mischief, as she stuffed the clothes into the dryer, knowing he'd find the note. It wasn't about him doing her laundry, it was about the connection, the playful back and forth they shared. It was about creating a moment, a memory. And it worked. He wasn't annoyed or put out, he was utterly charmed. He felt a rush of warmth, a feeling of fondness that settled comfortably in his chest. Sarah truly was one of a kind. He tucked the note carefully into his pocket, already thinking of what he could do to make her birthday extra special. This wasn't just about returning her clothes anymore, it was about celebrating her cleverness and her thoughtfulness. And begin. Still chuckling, Tom reached into the dryer. His hand brushed against the soft fabric of a t-shirt, warm and freshly dried. He pulled it out, it was a pale yellow, one of Sarah's favorites, simple and comfortable. He held it up, letting the fabric drape over his hand. It smelled faintly of sunshine and that clean, fresh scent he associated with his own laundry, but mixed with a hint of Sarah's unique perfume. It was such a small, everyday item, yet holding it now, knowing the story behind it, made him smile even wider. He could almost see her standing there, a playful glint in her eyes, as she carefully placed the note amongst her clothes, knowing he would find it. He imagined her stifling a giggle, perhaps even biting her lip to keep from laughing out loud as she pretended to be in a rush. He could practically hear her light, airy laugh echoing in his ears, a sound that always brightened his day. It was a laugh full of joy and a touch of mischief, just like her. The soft shirt felt comforting in his hands. It was a tangible reminder of her presence, her cleverness, and the special bond they shared. He thought about all the times they'd laughed together, shared secrets, and simply enjoyed each other's company. This whole laundry escapade was just another one of those moments, a silly, sweet memory to add to their collection. He folded the shirt neatly, his movements gentle, almost tender. He wasn't just folding laundry, He was tidying up a piece of a delightful puzzle Sarah had left for him. And begin. Tom finished folding Sarah's yellow shirt and placed it gently on top of the dryer. He pulled out his phone, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. He knew exactly what he needed to do next. It was his turn to play along, to show Sarah that he was in on her delightful little game. He opened his messaging app and found Sarah's contact. His fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment, thinking of the perfect playful response. He wanted something that would make her laugh, something that would let her know he appreciated her cleverness. He typed, well. Looks like someone forgot a very important pile of clothes. And here I was thinking I was just doing a favor. What's a guy to do with a dryer full of clean laundry and a secret birthday surprise? A winking face. He reread the message, satisfied with its light-hearted tone. It acknowledged her trick without giving away too much, letting her know he understood. He pressed send, feeling a thrill of anticipation. He knew Sarah would get a kick out of it. He could almost picture her face when she saw his message, her eyes widening in surprise before breaking into that bright, infectious smile of hers. This was their kind of fun, a silent conversation of wit and affection. He put his phone down, already looking forward to her reply. He had a feeling her birthday celebration was just getting started. And begin. With his text sent, Tom returned to the dryer, a renewed sense of purpose guiding his hands. The clothes, still warm and soft, seemed to practically fold themselves. He picked up a pair of her favorite blue jeans, smoothing them out with care, his mind already racing with ideas for her birthday. This wasn't just about giving her clothes back, it was about making her day special, just as she had made his afternoon unexpectedly delightful. What would Sarah like for her birthday? He knew she appreciated thoughtful gestures more than grand ones. Something that showed he truly listened, truly understood her. Maybe that new book by her favorite author she'd mentioned last week? Or tickets to that quirky independent film she'd wanted to see? He pictured her reaction to each idea, trying to gauge which one would bring that genuine, bright smile to her face. He folded a pair of patterned socks, then a soft, gray sweater. As he worked, a more elaborate idea began to form. What if he combined a few things? A small gift, something personal, and then maybe a surprise dinner? Not just any dinner, but something cozy and intimate, perhaps at that little Italian place she loved, the one with the string lights and the amazing pasta. He could even get a tiny cake, just for them. The thought of her surprise and happiness spurred him on. He neatly stacked the folded clothes, creating a tidy pile of colorful fabric on the utility room counter. Each item he folded brought a new flicker of inspiration. This wasn't a chore, it was an act of affection, a tangible way to show her how much he valued their friendship, and her wonderfully playful spirit. He was going to make this birthday unforgettable. And begin. A profound sense of happiness settled over Tom as he finished folding the last of Sarah's clothes. It wasn't just the satisfaction of a job well done, or the warmth of the freshly laundered fabric against his hands. It was the knowledge that Sarah had deliberately created this scenario, all because she wanted to find a way back to him, to spend more time together. That she valued their connection enough to orchestrate such a charming little scheme filled him with a quiet joy. He thought back to her hurried departure, her almost too dramatic apologies, and the fleeting hug she'd given him. At the time, he'd been mildly confused, but now, with the note in his pocket and her soft, clean clothes neatly stacked, it all made perfect sense. It was a testament to her unique way of showing affection, a subtle yet undeniable hint that she enjoyed his company as much as he enjoyed hers. This wasn't just about a forgotten birthday, it was about her reaching out, finding a reason to bridge the gap between their busy lives. It made him feel special, knowing he was worth such an elaborate, thoughtful ruse. He wasn't just a friend she occasionally saw, he was someone she wanted to actively spend time with, someone she found creative ways to connect with. The thought warmed him from the inside out. He smiled, looking at the neat pile of clothes. They weren't just laundry, they were a promise of a future meeting, an upcoming shared laugh, and perhaps, a very special birthday celebration. And begin. With Sarah's clean clothes neatly stacked and his phone buzzing with an incoming reply from her, a string of laughing emojis and a single word, busted, Tom began to hatch his next move. He wasn't just going to hand her laundry back, that would be too simple, too ordinary for a game orchestrated by Sarah. He needed a reveal, a flourish, something that matched her playful spirit. First, the clothes. He carefully placed the folded pile into a decorative gift bag he found in his closet, adding a small, colorful ribbon for good measure. It was absurd, making a gift out of clean laundry, and that was precisely the point. It would make her laugh, and her laugh was one of his favorite sounds. Next, the birthday celebration itself. He pulled out his laptop, a flurry of ideas already forming. That Italian place was a good start, but he wanted something more. Maybe a surprise picnic in the park, with all her favorite foods, before dinner? Or a scavenger hunt leading her to the restaurant, with clues hidden in places special to them? He grinned at the thought of her solving each riddle. He decided on a plan that evening. He'd arrange for flowers to be delivered to her apartment in the morning, a bright, cheerful bouquet to start her day. Then, he'd send her the first clue for a small scavenger hunt. The last clue would lead her back to his place, where her gift-wrapped laundry would be waiting, along with a delicious homemade dinner he would prepare. After dinner, they could go out for dessert, perhaps to that new ice cream parlor she'd been wanting to try. It was perfect. It was thoughtful, a little bit silly, and entirely Sarah. He couldn't wait to see the look on her face. And,